The great hall was bigger than any building Jack Morrison had ever seen. Crystal walls stretched up so high he could barely see the ceiling. The light came from somewhere deep inside the walls, making everything glow with a soft blue color. Jack stood alone in the center of the hall, wearing his best diplomatic uniform. The Earth flag on his shoulder felt heavier than usual. Around him sat the 7 members of the Galactic Harmony Council. Each one looked different from the others. The Zephyrians were tall and thin, with skin so clear you could almost see through it. Their leader, Veltar, had eyes that seemed to look right through Jack. The Krillians looked like giant insects, clicking their sharp mouthparts as they watched him. The Delphins wore water suits that let them breathe, and Jack could hear the strange sounds they made when they talked to each other. Jack had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years now. He thought he knew these aliens well, but today felt different. Today they all looked at him like he was something dangerous. "Human Ambassador Morrison," Veltar said. His voice was soft, but seemed to fill the whole hall. "You stand before this council to hear our judgment on your species." Jack kept his face calm, but his heart was beating fast. In the viewing area above, he could see Captain Lisa Hayes and Commander Ben Carter watching. Lisa's hand was resting on her weapon. Ben was writing notes on his tablet, probably recording everything. "The Council has spent many months studying humanity," Veltar continued. "We have watched your actions. We have read your history. We have seen how you solve problems." One of the Krillians made a harsh clicking sound. "Too violent," it said. "In broken galactic common. Always fighting. Never stopping." Jack wanted to speak, but Veltar raised a hand for silence. "The evidence is clear," the Zephyrian said. 3 months ago, human ships attacked Krillian vessels in the border zone. "Those were slave ships," Jack said, unable to stay quiet. "They were attacking our colony transport. We had every right to defend ourselves." "You destroyed 6 ships," said Veltar. "You could have disabled them. You could have captured them. Instead, you chose violence." Jack felt his anger rising. They were shooting at families, at children. What were we supposed to do? The Delphin representative made gurgling sounds into his breathing mask. Another council member translated. "He says your response was excessive. A civilized species would have found another way." "A civilized species," Jack repeated slowly. "Like letting slavers take our people?" Lisa Hayes stood up in the viewing area. "Permission to speak," she called out. "Denied," Veltar said, without looking at her. "This is not a trial, Captain Hayes. This is a sentencing." The word hit Jack like a punch. Sentencing. They had already made up their minds. "The Council has reviewed humanity's history," Veltar went on. "Your species has been in space for only 50 years, yet you have spread to 12 star systems. You build weapons before you build hospitals. You solve disputes with force rather than words." Jack thought about his home on Mars. His wife Sarah would be watching this on the news feeds. Their daughter Emma was only 8 years old. What would happen to them? But that's not the real reason, is it? Jack said. The hall went quiet. Even the clicking from the Krillians stopped. "Explain," Veltar said. Jack looked around at all the alien faces watching him. "You're not afraid because we're violent. You're afraid because we don't know our place." The Krillian leader started clicking angrily. Veltar held up a hand again. "Continue," the Zephyrian said. "Every other species in this council learned to follow rules," Jack said. "They learned to stay in their assigned territories. They learned to use only the technology you allow them to have. They learned to be grateful for whatever scraps you give them." "Careful, human," warned one of the other council members, but Jack was past caring. Humans don't work that way. We see a problem, we fix it. We see a wall, we find a way around it. We see limits, and we break them. That's what really scares you." The silence stretched out for a long moment. Finally, Veltar spoke. "Perhaps you are correct," he said. "Perhaps we do fear your potential. But fear can be wisdom. A fire can give warmth and light, but it can also burn down the forest." "So you put out the fire," Jack said. "No, Veltar replied. "We remove it from the forest." The formal words came next. Humanity was found guilty of being too aggressive, too unpredictable, and too dangerous for galactic civilization. All human ships had to leave Council space within 30 days. Any human found in Council territory after that would be destroyed without warning. All trade agreements were canceled. All diplomatic ties were cut. Humanity's membership in the Galactic Harmony Council was over forever. Jack listened to it all without speaking. When Veltar finished, Jack looked up at the viewing area. Lisa Hayes was standing very straight, her face showing no emotion. Ben Carter was still taking notes. They both gave him small nods. "Do you have anything to say, Ambassador Morrison?" Veltar asked. Jack thought about all the things he could say. He could beg. He could promise humanity would change. He could threaten. He could argue. Instead, he straightened his shoulders and looked Veltar in the eye. "Yes," he said. "I have something to say." The hall waited. "You think you're protecting the galaxy from us," Jack said. "But you're making a mistake. Humans have something you've forgotten how to do. We adapt. We grow. We become more than what we were." He started walking toward the exit, but turned back one more time. "You want us gone? Fine. But remember this day. Remember it when you realize that you didn't get rid of a problem. You created one." As Jack walked out of the hall, he could hear the council members talking in their different languages. Some sounded angry. Some sounded worried. But Jack didn't care anymore. He had work to do. In the viewing area, Lisa Hayes and Ben Carter were already moving. They had ships to prepare and people to save. The real work was just beginning. Outside the Crystal Hall, Jack looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there was home. The council thought they were sending humanity into exile. Jack smiled for the first time in hours. They had no idea what they had just unleashed. The age of human civilization under alien rules was over. The age of humans making their own rules was about to begin. The human fleet stretched across space like a long metal snake. 500 ships of all sizes moved together toward home. Some were huge colony ships carrying families. Others were small fighter craft flying guard duty. In the middle of the fleet, Admiral Ryan Davis sat on the bridge of his command ship, watching the stars ahead. It had been 2 weeks since they left Council space. 2 weeks since humanity was thrown out of galactic civilization. Ryan had been a military man for 30 years, but he had never faced anything like this. Moving 500,000 people across space was hard enough. Doing it while planning for war was even harder. "Admiral," called his communications officer. "Dr. Rodriguez wants to see you in Lab 3. She says it's important." Ryan nodded and left the bridge. Lab 3 was deep inside the ship where the science teams worked on captured alien technology. When Ryan walked in, he found Dr. Elena Rodriguez staring at a holographic display of Council ship designs. "Look at this," Elena said without turning around. She was always direct, never wasting time on small talk. "I've been studying the technology the Council shared with us over the years. Something's wrong with it." Ryan moved closer to look at the display. "Wrong how?" Elena touched a control, and the image changed. "See these power couplings? They're designed to fail if you push them too hard. And these navigation systems? They can't calculate jumps longer than 50 light years. Maybe that's just how they work," Ryan said. "No." Elena shook her head. "I compared them to the ship we captured last month. The Krillian Raider. Their technology doesn't have these limits. Ryan felt something cold in his stomach. You're saying they gave us broken technology? Not broken. Limited. Every piece of technology the Council shared with member species has built-in restrictions. They've been keeping everyone weak on purpose. Before Ryan could respond, his communicator buzzed. Admiral to the bridge, immediately. We have visitors. Ryan ran back to the bridge. On the main screen, he could see 6 Krillian ships approaching. Fast, their black hulls were covered in weapon ports, and their engines glowed red like angry eyes. They're not responding to our signals, reported the communications officer. And they're charging weapons. Captain Lisa Hayes appeared on the screen from her ship. Admiral, my squadron is ready. Permission to engage? Ryan looked at the enemy ships. The Krillians had been testing human defenses for months. Now that humanity was exiled, they probably thought it was safe to attack. Permission granted, Ryan said. Show them what humans do to bullies. The battle started fast and ended faster. The Krillians expected humans to fight like other Council species. They expected formation flying and careful, defensive tactics. Instead, they got Lisa Hayes. Her fighters came from 6 different directions. At once, they moved in patterns that made no sense to alien minds. When the Krillians tried to predict where the humans would go next, they guessed wrong every time. Human fighters are like angry insects, one Krillian captain said over an open channel. They make no sense. That's the point, Lisa said back. Just before her squadron destroyed his engines, the fight was over in 20 minutes. 4 Krillian ships were destroyed. 2 surrendered. When Ryan's Marines boarded the surrendering ships, they found something interesting. The Krillian crews didn't want to go home. They wanted to stay with the humans. Why? Ryan asked their captain through a translator. Council fears you, the Krillian said. We see why. You fight like legends say our ancestors fought. Before Council. Taught us to be weak. Ryan had the prisoners taken to secure quarters, but he let them keep their personal belongings. Something told him they might be useful later. Meanwhile, Helena's team was studying the captured Krillian ships. What they found changed everything. Ryan, you need to see this. Helena called him on the communicator late that night. When he got to the lab, she was practically dancing with excitement. The Krillian ships have real Council technology, she said. Not the limited versions they gave us. Real military-grade equipment. She showed him the differences. The Krillian power systems were 3 times more efficient. Their weapons hit harder and recharged faster. Their shields could stop attacks that would destroy human ships. How long? To copy their designs? Ryan asked. Give me 6 months, Helena said. Maybe less if I can get some of those Krillian prisoners to help. It turned out the prisoners were very willing to help. They told Ryan's intelligence teams about Council politics. The 3 oldest species controlled everything. The newer members had no real power. Most species in the Council were getting tired of being told what to do. Commander Ben Carter, Ryan's intelligence chief, brought him the full report a few days later. The Council isn't as strong as they pretend, Ben said. Half their members want change. They're just too scared to speak up. Scared of what? The same thing that happened to us. Get kicked out, lose protection, get attacked by raiders. Ryan nodded. So they stay quiet and follow orders. Exactly. But here's the interesting part. Some of them have been sending secret messages. They want to know if we would be willing to work with them. Ryan thought about this. What kind of work? Trade, information sharing, maybe mutual defense. Agreements. The idea started small, but it grew quickly. If humanity was going to survive outside Council space, they needed allies. And if other species wanted freedom from Council control, maybe they could help each other. The plan took shape over the following weeks. Instead of going straight home to Earth, The fleet would take a longer route. They would visit uncharted systems and make contact with species the Council had ignored. They would build relationships based on mutual benefit instead of control. President Mary Foster, who was traveling with the fleet, approved the plan immediately. "The Council wants us isolated," she said during a fleet-wide broadcast. But isolation works both ways. They can't control what they can't see. The first test came when they reached the edge of Council space. A Zephyrian patrol fleet was waiting for them. "Human vessels," came the transmission. "You are approaching the border ahead of schedule. Explain your delay." Ryan opened a channel. "We've been dealing with Krillian raiders." They seemed to think exiled humans would be easy targets. And Ryan smiled. They were wrong. There was a long pause. Then the Zephyrian commander spoke again. "We detected weapons fire in this sector." "Was that your doing?" "Self-defense," Ryan said. "We captured 2 ships and took prisoners. We're prepared to turn them over to Council authorities." Another pause. "That will not be necessary. Proceed to your destination." As the human fleet moved past the patrol ships, Ryan noticed something. The Zephyrian crews were watching them with interest, not fear, maybe even respect. "Admiral," Elena called from the lab, "I think I know why they're letting us go so easily." "Why?" "The Krillians have been raiding everyone, not just us. The Council can't stop them, but we just proved that we can." Ryan looked out at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there was Earth, home and safety. But maybe there was something else, too. Maybe there was opportunity. "Change course," he ordered. "Take us through the Outer Rim territories." "Sir, that will add months to our journey," his navigator said. "I know, but we're not running away anymore. We're going exploring." As the fleet turned toward unknown space, Ryan felt something he hadn't felt in weeks: hope. The Council thought they were sending humanity into exile. Instead, they had set them free to become something new. The journey home was about to become something much more important. It was about to become the journey to humanity's future. 5 years had passed since humanity left Council space. The solar system looked very different now. Where once there had been small research stations, massive shipyards now orbited Mars. The red planet's sky was filled with the bright flashes of welding torches as workers built ship after ship. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. The ship was beautiful and deadly, with smooth curves that hid enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Every system on board was built with technology the Council had tried to keep from humanity. "All stations report ready," said Captain Alex Turner, the ship's commander. Alex was young for such an important job, but he had proven himself in 3 battles against raiders over the past 2 years. Kate nodded. "Take us out, Captain. Time to see what's beyond the edge of the map." The Defiance led a fleet of 12 ships into deep space. Their mission was officially called exploration, but everyone knew the truth. Humanity was looking for allies, resources, and most importantly, proof that they could build something better than what the Council offered. First contact came in the Kepler system, near a dying red star. Commander Sarah Blake, the fleet's diplomatic officer, studied the readings on her scanner. "I'm detecting multiple ships," she reported. "They're not using any technology I recognize." On the main screen, strange vessels appeared. They looked like they were grown rather than built, with organic curves and what appeared to be living armor. When they moved, they flowed through space like fish swimming through water. "Unknown ships," Alex broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Turner of the Terran Commonwealth Fleet. We come in peace." The response came in perfect English, which surprised everyone. "Terran ship, we are the Vorathi. We have been watching your species for some time. Your reputation precedes you. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Our reputation? You are the ones who defied the Galactic Council. You are the ones who fight the Krillian slavers. We would like to meet these humans who do not bow to ancient powers. The meeting took place on a small asteroid between the two fleets. The Vorathi delegates looked like walking tanks, with thick scaled skin and powerful muscles. But their eyes were intelligent and kind. For 300 years, we have fought alone against the raiders, explained Vorak, their leader. The council says we are too primitive for membership, too violent. They ignore our calls for help. Sarah leaned forward. The Krillians have been raiding your worlds. Every few months, Vorak said sadly. They take our young, our strong. The council does nothing because we have nothing they want. Alex and Sarah exchanged looks. This was exactly what they had hoped to find. A species that needed help and had reason to distrust the council. What if we could help you stop them? Alex asked. Vorak's massive frame straightened. You would do this for strangers? For friends, Sarah corrected. The Commonwealth believes every species has the right to defend itself. The partnership began immediately. Human engineers studied Vorathi biotechnology, while Vorathi warriors trained with human weapons. What they created together was amazing. Vorathi armor that could heal itself, powered by human energy systems. Human weapons that fired Vorathi, bioprojectiles that could eat through any shield. The next species they found was even stranger. The Nyx existed partially in normal space and partially in hyperspace. They looked like living energy, shifting between solid and transparent as they spoke. We have watched the council for 1,000 years. Their spokesperson Zar told the humans. They fear change. They fear growth. They have built a galaxy of limits. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now leading the Commonwealth's Science Division, was fascinated. Your people understand hyperspace in ways we never imagined. And your people use technology in ways we never dreamed, Zar replied. Together, we could create wonders. The Nyx brought knowledge of energy manipulation and dimensional physics. Combined with human engineering, they developed shields that could phase in and out of reality, making ships nearly impossible to hit. The third major contact was with the Keth, a hive-minded insect species that had been enslaved by the Council centuries ago. They had broken free during a civil war, but remained hidden, building their strength in secret. The Council took our queens, explained their speaker. A warrior caste Keth named Rick made them prisoners, said it was for our own good, for stability. Sarah felt sick. They enslaved your entire species? In all but name. They control our reproduction, our expansion, our development. They say it prevents war. We say it prevents life. The Keth brought something humanity desperately needed, manufacturing capability. Their hive cities could produce ships, weapons, and equipment faster than any human factory. In return, humans offered them something they had lost, freedom. The greatest discovery came in a system so far from Council space that it didn't appear on any map. The humans found ruins there, ancient beyond imagination. Dr. Rodriguez led the research team that explored them. These structures are millions of years old, she reported back to the fleet. But the technology is still functional, still active. The ruins belong to the Wanderers, a species that had vanished long before the current galactic civilization began. Their technology operated on principles that challenged everything humans thought they knew about physics. Look at this, Elena said, showing Alex a device that seemed to fold space around itself. It's not just advanced, it's revolutionary. If we can understand how it works, we'll have technology that makes the Council look like children playing with sticks. Alex finished. The breakthrough came when the Nyx helped translate the Wanderer records. The ancient species hadn't vanished. They had evolved beyond physical. Existence leaving their technology for whoever proved worthy of it. The test was simple but profound. The technology would only work for those who used it to help others, rather than dominate them. It responded to cooperation, not conquest. Over the following months, the Commonwealth grew rapidly. Species after species joined them, drawn by the promise of equality and mutual aid. The Zeltans brought artistic genius that transformed ship design. The Mokari contributed medical knowledge that extended lifespans across all member species. The Vec offered agricultural advances that could feed entire star systems. Each new member added something unique, and each received something valuable in return. Unlike the Council's rigid hierarchy, the Commonwealth functioned as a true partnership. The test came when Council forces finally arrived to investigate the unauthorized activities in their former territory. Admiral Felvin, commanding a Zephyrian battle fleet, entered what he thought was empty space. Instead, he found a thriving confederation of dozens of species, Commonwealth vessels. He broadcast on an open channel. "You are operating in violation of galactic law. Prepare to be boarded and inspected." Admiral Ryan Davis, now commanding the Commonwealth Defense Fleet, responded calmly. "Admiral Felvin, you are no longer in Council space. You have no authority here." "We have authority wherever we choose to exercise it," Felvin replied arrogantly. Ryan's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Admiral, you're welcome to try. But I should warn you, we're not the same humans you exiled 5 years ago." The battle that followed lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Council fleet, representing the finest military technology of 7 ancient civilizations, was completely outmatched. Commonwealth ships moved like living things, their hybrid biomechanical systems adapting to every attack. Their weapons cut through Council shields like they weren't there. Their defenses absorbed energy blasts and converted them to power their own systems. But when the Council ships were defeated and helpless, Ryan did something that shocked everyone. Instead of destroying them, he offered them safe passage home. "Take a message to your Council," he told the defeated Felvin. "The Commonwealth extends an invitation to all species seeking true equality and mutual prosperity. Unlike some organizations, we judge members by their contributions, not their age or power." As the battered Council fleet limped away, Ryan looked out at the growing Commonwealth fleet. Ships from dozens of species flew together in perfect coordination, each design unique, but all working toward the same goal. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving requests for membership from 17 Council species. They want to know if the offer is real." Ryan smiled. "Tell them it's real. Tell them it's time to stop living under limits." The age of the Galactic Council was ending. The age of the Commonwealth was just beginning. 10 years had passed since humanity was thrown out of Council space. The Commonwealth now included over 50 different species, all working together as equals. New Geneva Station floated in space like a giant city, its lights visible from millions of miles away. Ships from dozens of worlds came and went every day, carrying goods, people, and ideas across the galaxy. President Mary Foster stood in her office looking out at the busy space lanes. At 65, she had gray hair and tired eyes, but her voice was still strong. She had led humanity through its darkest hour and watched it become something greater than anyone had imagined. "Madam President," her aide said from the doorway, "Grand Admiral Turner is here for the security briefing." Alex Turner entered the room. The young captain who had commanded the Defiance was now the highest-ranking military officer in the Commonwealth. His uniform bore medals from battles across 3 star sectors, but his eyes still held the curiosity that made him a great explorer. "Council is moving," Alex said without introduction. "Our scouts report a massive fleet gathering at Nexus Prime. over 3,000 ships from all 7 member species. Mary turned from the window. They're finally ready to try ending us. It looks that way. Admiral Thelvin is commanding. He's been planning this for 2 years, ever since we embarrassed him. Mary nodded. She had expected this day would come. The Commonwealth's success was making the Council look weak. Their own member species were asking questions, demanding the same freedoms that Commonwealth citizens enjoyed. How long do we have? 6 weeks, maybe 7? They're trying to coordinate ships from 7 different species. It's taking time. And our forces? Alex smiled grimly. We have 400 ships ready for combat. But Madam President, that's not our real strength. Mary raised an eyebrow. Explain. Dr. Rodriguez made contact with the Wanderer archives again. She found something incredible. The ancients didn't just leave behind technology. They left behind a test. Before Mary could ask what kind of test, her communicator buzzed. Dr. Rodriguez to see you immediately, her aide announced. Elena Rodriguez looked older too, but her excitement was the same as always. She carried a device that looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wire. Mary, Alex, look at this, she said, setting the device on the desk. The Wanderers weren't just advanced. They were testing everyone who came after them. The device projected a hologram of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems appeared, connected by lines of light. They built a network, Elena continued. Hidden stations throughout space, all connected. The technology only activates for civilizations that prove they can work together instead of fighting for control. And we proved that? Mary asked. We're still proving it. Every time we help another species, every time we choose cooperation over conquest, the network responds. It's been feeding us information, technology, even energy. Alex leaned forward. Are you saying the Wanderers have been helping us? Not the Wanderers themselves. They evolved beyond physical existence millions of years ago. But their legacy, their final gift to the galaxy, is this network. And it's chosen us as its guardians. The implications hit Mary immediately. The Council will never accept that. No, Elena agreed. They've spent thousands of years believing they were the natural rulers of the galaxy. The idea that ancient powers would choose us over them. They'll fight to the death before admitting they were wrong. Alex finished. 3 weeks later, the Council fleet arrived. 3,000 ships of every size and type filled the space around Commonwealth territory. The message from Admiral Thelvin was broadcast on all frequencies. Commonwealth forces, this is Admiral Thelvin of the Galactic Harmony Council. You have violated galactic law by harboring fugitive species and developing prohibited technology. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Admiral Ryan Davis, now Supreme Commander of Commonwealth Forces, responded from his flagship. Admiral Thelvin, you are in Commonwealth space without permission. You have 30 minutes to withdraw, or we will consider your presence an act of war. You face the combined might of 7 civilizations, human. Your rebellion ends today. Ryan looked around the bridge of his ship. The crew included humans, Varathi, Nyx, Keth, and a dozen other species. All of them had chosen to be here. All of them believed in what they were fighting for. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving messages from ships in the Council fleet. They want to know if our offer of sanctuary is still good. Ryan wasn't surprised. For months, Commonwealth agents had been secretly broadcasting throughout Council space. The message was simple. Anyone who wanted freedom was welcome in the Commonwealth. Tell them yes, Ryan said, but they need to decide now. What happened next shocked everyone, including Ryan. Ship after ship in the Council fleet began changing sides. Entire squadrons broke formation and moved toward Commonwealth lines. Young species that had been forced into the Council's military were finally free to choose. "This is outrageous," Thelvin screamed over the radio. "Return to your positions immediately." But the defections continued. Within an hour, the Council fleet had lost nearly half its ships. The remaining forces were mostly from the three oldest species, the ones who had controlled the galaxy for millennia. All remaining Council ships, Ryan broadcast. "This is your last chance to leave peacefully." Thelvin's response was to open fire. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council ships fought with desperate fury, knowing their entire way of life was ending. But they faced something they had never encountered: a military force that fought not for conquest, but for the right to exist freely. Commonwealth ships moved like dancers, each species contributing its unique strengths. Varathi bioarmor healed damage as fast as it occurred. Nyx phase shields made entire ships impossible to target. Keth manufacturing ships built replacement fighters faster than the Council could destroy them. Most importantly, the Wanderer Network activated fully for the first time in millions of years. Ancient stations throughout the galaxy came online, providing power, information, and support to Commonwealth forces. "The network recognizes us," Elena reported from the science station. "It's been waiting for a civilization that would use its power to help others instead of dominating them." The Council's ancient weapons, their planet killers and starbreakers, simply stopped working. The network had deactivated them, just as it had deactivated similar weapons countless times before. "Impossible," Thelvin transmitted. "We are the rightful heirs of galactic power." "No," Ryan replied sadly. "You are just the latest species to think that power came from controlling others." The battle ended when the Council's flagship surrendered. Thelvin himself asked for terms, his arrogance finally broken. "What are your demands?" he asked. Ryan looked at President Foster, who had come aboard to witness the end of the old galaxy and the birth of the new. "No demands," Mary said. "Just an offer. Join us as equals, or go home and leave us alone. The choice is yours." 6 months later, Mary Foster stood in the same crystal hall where Jack Morrison had been sentenced 10 years before. But now she wasn't a defendant. She was the elected leader of the new Galactic Commonwealth, chosen by representatives of over 200 species. The old council chamber had been transformed. Instead of 7 chairs looking down on everyone else, there were hundreds of seats, arranged in a circle. Every species had an equal voice, an equal vote. 10 years ago, they said we were too dangerous to exist among civilized species, Mary said in her inaugural speech. They were right. We were too dangerous to accept limits on what we could become. Too dangerous to let others be held back by fear. Too dangerous to let artificial barriers stand in the way of real progress. She looked around at the faces watching her. Human, Varathi, Nyx, Keth, and dozens of others. Even some Zephyrians and Krillians who had chosen freedom over control. If that makes us uncivilized, then civilization needed to change. The applause that followed came from every species in the galaxy. The age of artificial limits was over. The age of unlimited potential had begun. Outside the hall, a small plaque had been placed near the entrance. It read, "Here stood the Galactic Harmony Council, 28472-892. They taught us that sometimes the greatest harmony comes not from enforcing peace, but from giving everyone the freedom to find their own way to it. The humans had been banished for being too dangerous to the old order. They had responded by building something better. The galaxy would never be the same."